I tell people one of the best communication skills that people need to use, and it's a great negotiating skill as well. It's one of my favorite, super uncomfortable times in meetings is listening. Just shut up. We've been lied to about everything I've decided. Good people who make good money can do great things.
Welcome to the Jeff Glines Show, where success isn't just about the destination, but the journey. Behind every success story lies untold challenges and lessons. I'm Jeff Glines, and I'm here to take you behind the scenes with business leaders and entrepreneurs. We'll explore the real stories behind the success, the challenges, the late nights, and the breakthroughs. If you're looking for raw, real insights into the world of business, you're in the right place. Subscribe to the Jeff Glines Show on your favorite podcast platform. Join us for new episodes every week, and let's dive into what it really takes to succeed. Today, I'm excited to introduce Brendan Dalley, who also is known as the Dalley Llama. Brendan brings an impressive background to the table with an MBA, a bachelor's in information technology, and another in special education. He's Lean Six Sigma certified, along with holding a range of marketing and business certifications. Together with his wife, Genevieve, Brendan is a realtor and the co-owner of both Go Dalley Marketing and Consulting, as well as the St. George Health and Wellness magazine. He's also a former behavioral communication and business instructor at Utah Tech University. And when he's not working, you'll probably find him on the golf course or out capturing stunning photos and videos with his camera and drone. Brendan Dalley, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Well, when you read all that, it really makes me sound like I've got some ADD problems with everything I got going on.
Hey, diverse background. But hey, first we got to ask you the question. You're known as the Dalley Llama. What's the story behind that nickname? And be honest, have you ever considered leading a meditation retreat for stressed out entrepreneurs?
So it just so happens that it's all about marketing and branding. And I have to give credit to my awesome wife. She's the one that actually came up with that brand, the Dalley Llama. And it just kind of encompasses all we do with marketing and consulting stuff that we do, which ties into my real estate business, magazine business, is just trying to be wise and trying to be, I should say, more knowing, not all knowing.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's a catchy name because I like whenever I have you on my phone, and so it'll pop up the Dalley Llama, and I'm like, then I go to search you, and I'm looking for Brendan, and I'm like, hey, how come he's not on my phone? Well, yeah,
that's it, man. That's what we try to do is just make it a little bit sticky, and I'll get people all the time because somehow I've got it on my phone too. That when if they with new Apple phones, all that, sometimes they can recognize you or something if an email's been sent. So I'll talk to somebody and they'll just be laughing. Then it pops up as the Dalley Llama. Like it just becomes memorable, it becomes sticky. Yeah. So,
well, you're a marketing guy at heart. So that makes sense. So Brian, with your diverse background, in education, technology, marketing, how do you blend all these skills to help businesses grow and stay competitive in today's market?
Well, it's as diverse as it sounds like with everything that I have going on. It all actually works together. At least it does in my mind, with everything that goes on. And so there's always things that are happening in the business world. I think a lot of it really kind of ties down to my background in what I taught over at the university for 10 years, which deals with communication and behavioral communication.
Okay.
And so it's really, I think the marketing side is often taking the tools and systems to implement a lot of the science behind communication, behavior, communication, psychology, and what people do. And so all those things really just kind of work together. Sometimes they're in little different arenas, such as if I'm doing stuff with St. George Health and Wellness with the magazine. But with that, it's still marketing. I still run advertisements. I help businesses be able to reach their audience. I consult with them if they advertise with us, they just don't put out a crazy busy ad in there. What are we trying to do? What's the voice? Understanding who our target market is. What is it that we're trying to accomplish with that? So all those things really just kind of boil back down to what is it that I do in the the marketing, the psychology arena. And sometimes it's just little different things, but yeah, from real estate to working with businesses. And then, like I said, using the tools such as AI, such as CRM type systems, things that people
Uh-huh.
can use to automate their businesses. So,
Okay. Nice. So you and your wife run the marketing consulting together. So what are some of the unique challenges and advantages of working as a husband and wife team in the business? Oh, go ahead. What's that?
emotion. So when we deal with the emotional aspect of things, that realize that, as a husband and wife team, we're lucky that we like to be with each other. That's a
That's
little
a,
bit of a back
that's a good one.
history is, we've both been divorced. We've been married now for going on 18 years. And so I think kind of going through some of that past history, going through a marriage that wasn't great, there's a lot more appreciation for each other. But we do have differences. But with those differences, I think that's what helps us when we work on the marketing side and working with businesses, working with clients and customers, is we both understand what our strengths and weaknesses are so that we can go in and focus in and help and really start to understand who we connect with better. There are
Mhm.
times where my wife will connect with somebody better. There'll be times where I may connect with somebody better. And then she's got a whole different skill set, especially when it comes to creativity and design that often I just don't have. I become very logical sometimes in my marketing. I look at how pieces fit together. I do real good when I'm designing a CRM system or building out a system where it's like, okay, here's a drip email campaign, and we look at structure of it. Sometimes I get bogged down in that, and she can see things at a whole different level, especially when it comes to creative factors. So it's really just understanding each other, listening to each other, not getting too emotional when she'll say, "Hey, Brendan, I don't think that's the right way to go," and kind of checking my ego at the door at times. I'm like, well, wait a minute, no, this is good. I like this. So it's just always just, again, communication,
Yeah.
continually communicating. I think on my end, it's sometimes just checking my ego where I'll get locked in and start going down a road and get my blinders on, even though I'm working real hard to be aware of what's going on. But to be able to be open to when she'll say, "Hey, I think we need to do something differently," or "Hey, I think we need to pull back on this and go this direction with it," and be open to it. So it's a lot
So
of things.
your
Ego.
insight would be making sure if there's husband wife teams out there having that communication. I would say that's in any relationship, right? It's just
Yeah.
communication is going to be key, and yeah, if you can't communicate, then yeah, it's gonna be tough. Well, so Brendan, yeah, appreciate that. Now, you're a Lean Six Sigma expert. So how can a small and medium sized businesses apply those principles to improve their operations and increase their profitability?
So Lean Six Sigma,
Yeah,
super interesting.
tell us what that is in case someone doesn't know what that is.
So Lean Six Sigma, it's actually two aspects of Lean and then Six Sigma. A lot of it's the kind of the Japanese type philosophy. A lot of it just deals with efficiency.
Uh-huh.
So as I went through my training for Lean Six Sigma, it's understanding like how can I be efficient? How do I eliminate waste in the sense of like wasted time, wasted effort, things that are repetitive?
Uh-huh.
And for example, this is, where, so like when I'm driving someplace, I look at, I no longer look at like, if I'm going from point A to point B, this is what happens when you get into Lean Six Sigma, is you no longer look at, okay, I'm going to be there in 10 minutes. It's like, can I be there in 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes? And it's always about understanding routes of what I can do, which lights are the longest, how to avoid any of that stuff. Same thing like when I go into the kitchen to get something to eat. I'm always planning in my head is like, how do I not backtrack? If I go to the refrigerator, I can grab everything out of the refrigerator, put it right here on my, you know, right here on the counter where the forks and where my knife is. And you just try to always just find how to be the most efficient. So that feels a little OCD, with it, but it's just trying to figure out, like, how do I become the most efficient? What are the things that I'm wasting time at? And I think that's a constant battle that we all go through, are these time wasters and these energy wasters that we do. It's just human nature, where I'm constantly looking at things of, what is it that I'm doing where I'm busy, but I'm not productive, where I'm doing things that, if I did them just a little bit differently, or if I outsource them, could I be managing my time differently? A good example of that in the real estate market is, so I love photography. It's one of my passions. I love getting out there, taking pictures. I do love taking pictures of homes. I love the architectural design, and I love trying to take something that is very complex. When we look at something, we're very, our brains and the way that we look at homes, we can see the depth, the field, but then when I take a picture of it, it also becomes very 2D. So I get a little weird, where I'm trying to figure out, okay, what's the best angle? What can I do? How do I really enhance this picture? How can I create that feeling, that emotion? So I enjoy taking pictures, but is it the best use of my time? And this is one where my wife has really had to help me with it, where she's just like, Brendan, we're going to pay somebody else to take pictures of our homes that we're listing, rather than having you do. And I still do it at times. But it's like, is this the best use of my time? Could I be doing something else that could generate more income rather than doing those things? Even though I like it, it's hard for me to give up. It's use of my time.
Yeah, gotcha. So what do you think some small business owners could maybe implement right away on something like this to start being more efficient in their business? What can they look at, or what's some takeaways that they can do?
A lot of it is just understanding, like, what is it that you're doing that actually creates results? So a good friend of mine, mentor of mine as well, there's a phrase that he uses, a little term that he uses, that I think is really important. And I try to do this every single day. He calls it, what are your income generating activities? What are the things that you're doing that actually have a direct result in creating income? Are there certain things that you can do? Now, the problem is, we can get into the justification is like, well, I do this and this is important, and if I do this, I need to take care of this. Bookkeeping is one of those things. It's like, oh man, I got to take care of my books. I got to do all the QuickBooks. I got to do all my reports. But is that really an income generating activity? It's a necessity for your business, but could you hire that out and get somebody else to start doing your bookkeeping, while you focus more on what maybe your strengths are, as some of those lead generation type of things? Maybe it's, are you going to have more success out, going to a networking group where you're talking to people? What are your income generating activities? And I think that's a key for a lot of people, is really look at your day and your activities and say, which one has the most direct result to generate income for your business? And what are the other things that you have to do? And can you just maybe have somebody else do those, pay somebody else?
Yeah, I agree. The income generating ones, we can kind of get stuck thinking that, oh, this is very important, but kind of even like, what's the Stephen Covey, where he has those 4 quadrants, and he says, is it, I can't remember it's 4 quadrants, but is it important? Yes, it's important, but is it really urgent, but yeah, income, I like the income generating piece of it, because I would say a lot of small businesses get distracted. They get distracted on, like you said, the small things that matter, but they're not urgent, where you got to create income. Otherwise, you're gonna, you got to have that cash flow coming in. So
there's some other activities. This is another one that I really work on and try to implement and try to put into play is
Jeff Glines here. And before we get back to the show, I just want to share a quick tip for all you business owners. If you haven't heard of dual pricing when it comes to payment processing, then I want to share my free guide on how to eliminate 100% of your credit card fees in your business. And I'll share a link in the description. Go ahead and click on that link. You're not going to want to miss this, and you can thank me later. Back to the show.
So yeah,
And then
that's
there's
cool.
some other activities. This is another one that I really work on and try to implement and try to put into play is what is it that I can also create systems for that can be automated so that I don't have to spend as much time that are important that also may generate income, but can be automated. Maybe it's email response systems. Maybe it's follow-up type of things. Maybe it's just even reminders for you of stuff that you're doing where stuff can become much more automated. Again, your email systems, your drip campaigns, your follow-up campaigns.
Yeah.
Things I'm looking into now, especially with the AI world, is even some follow-up calls, and it can be done with AI and voice AI stuff. I mean, you introduced me to some of that as well. And so there are a lot of things that we can also do to create systems and automate stuff in our business. And that's something else I try to help with businesses as well as my own is like, hey, what can we automate that can free up time so that you can focus on generating more income?
Yeah. Gotcha. So question for you. Marketing it's always evolving. And what are the key trends or strategies you're seeing right now that business owners should be paying attention to?
Well, a lot of it, of course, is in the technology space, AI and
Okay. Yeah, I was
the
gonna
use
say,
of AI and how things are being done. There's a lot of good things that come with AI, but there's still, I think a lot of people are scared that AI is going to replace people altogether. I don't believe that. There still has to be some type of interaction with a lot of what we do.
yeah.
There can be a lot that we don't. There are some businesses that could be replaced with AI altogether. But one of the things that I'm starting to see with people is people are becoming they're jumping into AI and they're using it, they're writing stuff with it. But one of the things that I'm finding with it is we don't talk the same way that it generates. And I
Yeah.
see this all the time in real estate. Realtors have this idea of like, I'm going to create my listing for my house and I'm just going to have AI. I'm going to go in there, Chat GPT, and have Chat GPT write my whole listing for my house. And so that shows up on the MLS of what this house is. And when you read it, like nobody talks like that. You don't use 6 adjectives like this beautiful, outstanding, lavish home with pristine vistas and plush. I'm like, nobody talks like that. So I think where we still have to remember is AI is a great tool for what we use in marketing, but it also still has to have this human interaction and it'll get better and better. One of the things that when you look at like Google and search rankings and everything else, and when people read and respond to stuff, the sad aspect of, I don't know if it's sad, it's just the reality of it is we basically talk and communicate on a 7th grade level. We write at a 7th grade level. And it actually, when we write at that level, we get better responses. We're pretty simple beings. We're not trying to overcomplicate things and sound like we belong to some weird club of, the old English speaking club of things. So we want to keep language simple. So I think AI screws that up for a lot of people that this sounds great, but do you actually talk like that? Do you respond to that? No. So I think AI is a great thing, and it's a huge part of what we're doing in marketing, but it still takes you as a human to get in there and say, wait a minute, does this really line up to who my target audience is? And what is it that I'm trying to accomplish? Don't just have AI and Chat GPT pump stuff out for you, because for the most part, it sounds horrible. We don't talk like that. That's a big part of what we do.
Yeah.
There's a great book that's an old book. It's been out there for a while, but it's called QBQ, Question Beyond the Question. And this is something I used to teach all the time. Is before, the whole Chat GPT and everything else came out, we relied on Google for everything. And so in my classes, I used to teach my students, I'm like, listen, your job is not to find the answer. And that's the way education has been for a long time is what's the answer? Find the answer. Well, that was pretty easy. Just Google it. If you Google it, you're going to find the answer. So we've moved to a level where we're not trying just to find the answer. It's there. That's easy. What we're really trying to do is find a better result, almost a better answer. So in order to do that, we have to ask better questions. And that's a great prompt even when we get into the chat GPT is, what are we asking it to do? Can we refine the questions that we are asking to try to get different outcome and different output of what is it that we need? And so we have to learn how to ask better questions. When we can start to ask better questions, we can get different results, better results, or it can lead us down avenues that we haven't seen or explored yet. And so being open to what we don't know, I think that is key in marketing and business is be open to the unknown and be able to say, because you don't know something, that's actually a good thing. But what are the questions? What's going to lead you to help try to find the answer or to explore the unknown?
Yeah. I love that. I kind of got carried away with AI a little bit on just different things, and my business coach is like, "Hey, that does not sound like you." I'm like, "Oh crap!" but it can get you thinking, but you still have to like I said, go through it and read it, and sometimes you can put in there like, give me something that's a 7th grade level conversational, and here's my target audience. And it could get a little bit closer, but like you said, you have to still put some eyeballs on it and read it and say, does this sound true or not? Or sound like you? Yes, I like that. So you mentioned that you're a realtor, but you're also a co-owner of the St. George Health Wellness magazine. So how do you manage such diverse business ventures, and what common strategies do you apply across the industries, and how do you keep it all together?
Well, a lot of it is, again, kind of practicing what I preach is like on my St. George Health and Wellness magazine, I have somebody that runs it for the most part.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And she is absolutely amazing. Her name's Diane. She's on the ball. She'll come to me. Now I'll still go out and sell on things. I'll go out and talk to companies and sell advertising.
Oh,
I
okay.
do that because it's the connector part. It's actually an income generating activity for me. One, it's going to help our business, but it also gets people out there and exposed to who I am, and it allows me to meet new people and to make that face-to-face contact, that human contact. I'll still go out and do those types of things. But again, most of the day-to-day activities is all hired out. I have, the design, the layout is all done by other people.
Yeah.
My job is just to help oversee it. I write in it. I'll go out and meet with clients on certain things. But all that kind of fits into
Okay.
other businesses that I do.
Just delegating some of those tasks and just making sure you're managing them more or less.
Yep.
Got you. So I'm curious though, with your behavioral communication background and experience, how important is it for business leaders to master communication skills, and what are some practical tips for improving communication with a team of people as a business owner and employees and whatnot? Maybe give some insight on that.
Communication is, we hear it all the time. And I think sometimes we treat it kind of like the dead horse, and we're always beating it, got to have good communication. I don't think people fully understand what that means. And on the behavioral side of things, it's also understanding how communication works, that process. So when people say, how do you become good in communication? A lot of it is understanding what's that process, understanding the filters and what affects communication. There's a cultural aspect. There is stuff that happened during your day. Health related things come into play. If I'm not feeling well physically, my communication changes. My upbringing, whatever it might be, what's happening in the political world, all those things are going to be filters that change the way that we communicate. I think for a lot of leaders, and I think there's this idea too that just because you are good at something within an organization doesn't necessarily make you a good leader. And a lot of people within an organization, if they're really good at sales, that doesn't mean they're going to be a good sales manager, because there's a transition that takes place there. There's a lot of what we call hard skills that come into play and soft skills. And those soft skills are also applied to different aspects with people and how we interact with people. And so understanding just communication, really diving deep and understanding the filters, what comes into play, as well as starting to understand what your communication style is. And there's a lot of great things that help with that. One of them is, I always refer to, is the 5 love languages, the book.
Yeah.
I think that's a key communication book, because although it deals with relationships, a lot of it's a very kind of an intimate side of things with your spouse or your significant other. It also deals with business, because people want to feel loved, people want to feel appreciated. And so starting to understand their communication style as well as your own, and how is it that you feel loved and appreciated, and looking for ways to receive that. And a lot of times, even though what's funny is I'm a words of affirmation guy. Just tell me I'm doing a good job. Tell me that you appreciate what I'm doing, and I'm going to be gung ho. But what's funny is I'm always my giving love language, which is my default, which I think everybody should, is I'm always doing acts of service for others. And my wife's a great example of this. My wife is physical touch. She loves to be touched, to be held. And I don't always think that way, because I'm just hey, I'm going, I've got to do this. I got to do this. And sometimes I remember just, hold her hand, do those types of things. And then if there's a tense moment, I'm trying to do an act of service, when really I should just be I just need to hold her. Now, can't do that necessarily in a business setting, because HR is going to be, come after you. You can't just go hugging people if that's their love language. But understanding that how we interact with people, the proximity of how we act with people. A good example is I did have an employee one time who his love language, and just kind of figuring out, it was physical touch. And so one of the things I would do is, I put my hand on his shoulder and say, hey man, I sure appreciate what you did today. I'd give him words of affirmation, because we use multiple love languages, but as primary. And so it's the way that I would, maybe grab his shoulder and talk to him like that, those types of things. And so being aware of how people respond and what is it that people need, and getting outside of your own needs and wants. Now there's a balance, because in leadership, sometimes you've got to draw the hard line and say, this is what we need to do. But it's also being aware of how people are going to respond to them.
Maybe give some pointers on what you do, or maybe you struggle with that balance or something, so that people can kind of learn, because you got those workaholics out there, but then also too, you got those people that play too much. If they own a business, they think they can just, I own a business and I'm just going to go play. I can do whatever I want. Well, you got to run your business, buddy. So what do you do?
I try not to sleep. I think that's the key, is how do I not sleep as much? I'm not very good at it. I do enjoy sleeping. I think this is a struggle for me with a lot of what I do. It is always trying to find the balance, and being able to step back and say, what's most important right now, especially when it comes to my health. That's something that I've noticed as I've gotten older, is stuff's catching up with me. Younger, I was invincible. I didn't have to do this. I could get a couple hours of sleep each night. I could work and work and work. And as I've gotten older, I've started to realize that my health is super important. So I think that's kind of been a big focus as of late. Yeah. So I'll give you a little backstory, and this is a little bit of a tangent, but it's very important. And a lot of people are struggling with this. So a little over 10 years ago, I went through fairly traumatic, some surgeries. I went through some back surgeries. Again, probably started from my youth, when, football, baseball, lifting weights, whatever I could do. I just felt invincible, didn't always have the right form. And I ended up blowing out my L4, L5, my disc. It ruptured. Actually, while I was in an airport, lifted up my bag, blew out.
Oh, God.
I just felt like I stepped on a landmine. It just was the most excruciating pain that I've ever had.
Wow.
Actually, had TSA guards had to drag me, sit me down. My wife had to come get me. I was able to get in surgery the next day, and they actually went in and did a discectomy and shaved off the disc that had blown into my spinal column. Instant relief. Problem was, 3 months later, it blew again. They went in and did another discectomy. About 4 months later, it blew again. And by that time, they went in and actually ended up fusing my L4 and L5 and putting some titanium rods. And that was a very painful year. And all that triggered something else in my body. And also I developed some weird autoimmune stuff going on.
Uh-huh.
So my fingers, my fingers will turn white if I get too stressed out or cold. And I'm an entrepreneur, businesses, I'm stressed out all the time. So fingers will go white, I'll lose feeling in them. I get severe nerve pain, all these different types of things. So, but I keep trying to just run at the same pace that I've been at. And so this had a huge impact on my business and how I do things. And so now focusing in more on health has been really important, and trying to find those types of things that can make me healthy, because when I'm healthy, I can achieve more in my business. So I think that's one of my hard lessons that I've had to learn is, how do I take care of my health? How do I make sure that I'm eating right? And we have a lot of stuff that's going against us right now. I'm a Gen Xer. The realization in the Gen X world with this, Jeff, is we've been lied to about everything, I've decided. The food pyramid, completely wrong. Everything that was supposed to be good for us, fats were bad, and, all these things. And we start to realize that, no, all this stuff is just completely wrong. And we paid the price for it. So now it's just trying to figure out, how do I take care of my health and try to balance everything that goes out there in my life, how to find the right type of supplements to try to find time to work out. And it's very, very hard for me, because I feel like I need to be doing this for my business rather than going in and maybe going for a run, for a walk, right. When I'm going it's like, I'm just going from appointment to appointment. It's like Taco Bell. I love Taco Bell. I mean, some people don't. I absolutely love Taco Bell. And it's like, that's not great for me. So I've got to figure out how to balance my life with food, with sleep, and everything else. And so again, it's for me, it's been a hard lesson, which my body has told me, you can't do that anymore. So I've been forced into certain things, and I always try to push against it. And so my balance is, I have to do things because I have to, because it's down with it. But again, it goes down to, how do I automate what I can automate? How do I delegate those types of things? If I could only do, 3 things today, what would be the 3 most important things that would generate income and make a difference for my business? And to be okay with, if I only get this and this type of thing done, and find activities that do have a higher rate of return for the effort that I put in. So again, being much more conscientious of not just going out and doing things, but doing things with purpose.
Yeah.
Finding things that will be able to give me the return I need, so that I can take the rest that I need. Or if I have a bad day, a flare-up day, or whatever it is, and I'm going to be out today, is my business going to be okay? Do I have people that I can rely on that can take what I need to do that day?
Nice. Well, you're a man of many talents, and I got a fun question for you here. So you're an MBA, tech expert, realtor, drone pilot. So, which one of your skills is most likely to save you during a zombie apocalypse, and what's your survival plan?
Guns, guns,
Um, that's
guns.
right.
Yeah. I love to shoot. So depends on if the apocalypse happens because of an EMP that takes place. And so if that doesn't take, if there's no EMP, then probably my drone skills to identify where the zombies are, and then the shooting skills, I think, will come into play with that as well. So maybe a combination of the two. But if there is an
Nice.
EMP, well, it's just going to be relying on just straight
What,
up.
remind me what an EMP is.
It's
Electric.
magnetic pulse.
Oh, that's supposed to like shut everything
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. If we have
Okay.
an EMP, we're screwed in that sense. Everything will shut down, all technology. So my next goal is actually to buy a truck that's like a 1980s, early 80s truck that has no
Oh,
electronics in it. So
no
be
electronics.
okay for the zombie apocalypse.
What's your favorite gun?
I really like lever action style guns. Now, I I grew up. The first deer I ever shot was actually with a 30-30, my dad's old 30-30.
Uh,
I've always had. I just love the nostalgic aspect, and maybe again because I'm getting older, but the old West. I grew up reading Louis L'Amour,
oh yeah.
John Wayne fan, watching all that. So I have just a real. I love my lever action guns. I have a 45-70, which is it's an awesome gun. I love that. It's got some serious knockdown power, but just the old 30-30 is probably one of my favorite guns. And I've got a 356 lever action as well, which is fun for just getting out there. But there's something about that feeling.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I had one of those lever action 30-30s. Those were, yeah. It was fun. It was a fun little gun. No, that's awesome. So, what advice do you have for small business owners that are maybe running multiple businesses or just one business or starting up a business? What could you tell them? What advice could you give them from your experience that you've had thus far in your life?
But again, it kind of understand the automation side is huge.
Okay.
What is it you can automate? What is it that you can pass on? And again, understanding what parts of your business are. I think there's a season for all parts of your business. When you're in the startup phase, you are doing a lot of types of things. But again, I always refer back to those IGAs, your income generating activities. What are those income generating activities? What are things that you can focus on that are going to really drive the bottom line?
Uh-huh.
And once you start to develop those and see those and align those with your strengths, or if they're not within your wheelhouse, to find somebody that can do them. What is it you can automate? What is it you can create the system for that can help with it? And it takes time at the beginning to really understand those types of things, because at least for me, a lot of my businesses have been a little bit of a shotgun approach where I'm just like, I jump in and I'm just learning it as I go, and I'm just doing things and getting stuff done. And then taking that time to really sit down and figure out what is it that makes my business run? What is it that I'm doing that creates the biggest result? And what are my time wasters? And some of those time wasters are the things that I like to do.
Uh-huh.
And I'll try to justify that, okay, those are super important. And so looking at, and then again, trying to find the balance between, finding your time off and what is it that you can do. But create systems, automate what you can, really hone down on those income generating activities. And you'll start to realize on the balance side of your life. So I've expanded my IGAs into other aspects of my life, such as what are my spiritual generating activities? What are things that are going to help me on the spiritual side of my life? What are my emotional generating activities? What are things that I may need to do that can help me emotionally to stay well? What are, I look at the relationship generating activities. What are things that I can do to generate some of those relationships in my life? And so I start to try to break those out and to be much more specific, so it be much more purpose driven. And that's just kind of allowed me to a little bit more balance in my day at times.
Uh,
I think every day I wake up, I still have, and it's just hard for me to break, I still have this lion and gazelle mentality, which is, I wake up every day and I've got to go chase the gazelle, in order to eat. That is a great drive for me, knowing that I've got to get up and get going, but it can also be a huge distraction. So I battle that every day, is how do I become the efficient lion as I'm, chasing the gazelle? What is it that I can do better so that I can lay in the shade a little bit more? Or when my body says, you have to lay in the shade today. And so that's what I'm always trying to balance.
Nice. So if someone wanted to get in touch with you, then maybe they need marketing help in their company, or maybe they're, selling or buying a home, or they want to advertise in the Health and Wellness magazine, what's the best way to get a hold of you and to reach out for any help?
So website wise, from the real estate, it's godalleyrealestate.com. That's our website.
Okay.
My email address is Brendan, Brendan. I always tell people it's like Brenda with an N, Brendan at godalley.com. So
Brendan at godalley.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Dalley's like, don't dilly-dally around. That's how I tell people when I introduce myself. It's Brenda with an N, Dalley, like don't dilly-dally around. Or the Dalley line.
Yeah,
Just call me. That's a lot of times easy. Call, text me. My number, 435-703-3351.
Nice. Okay. Awesome. All right. Any last words that you have for our audience, our business audience?
I think big thing is, make a difference. What you do. I always believe in being a capitalist, but one of the things I used to tell people all the time, and especially in my classes, is good people who make good money can do great things. So be a good person, make good money. With that, you're going to do good things and you're going to do great things. And so I think that's super important in today's age, and letting people know that it's good to make money. It's good because if you're a good person, you make good money, you can do lots of good things. You can help people. If you're a business owner, you're employing people. So always make sure that the end is make a difference, make people better. As you make people better, you're going to be better. Make your family better, make yourself better. Just continue to add value. And that's what's going to really get us, move and keep us moving forward, especially with all the negativity that we get today.
Yeah. Well, yeah, thanks so much for coming on the Dalley Llama, Brendan. Yeah, I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate all the advice, and it's been great chatting with you. So,
well, I appreciate it, Jeff. This is fun.
Okay, sounds good.
Well, that's a wrap for today's episode of the Jeff Glines Show. A huge thank you to Brendan Dalley for sharing his valuable insights with us today. And if you found this episode helpful, make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, or find us on YouTube so you never miss an episode. And don't forget to follow us on social media for more updates, behind-the-scenes content, and business tips. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and TikTok under Jeff Glines. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.